I shouldn't have been able to witness them, my husband and my best friend. Too close, too familiar. The atmosphere around them was thick with unspoken tension. They hadn't noticed me yet. I stepped in without hesitation, without anger, just certain of what I was doing. They froze, her breath caught, his hands clenched. The silence between us stretched on, heavy with anticipation, ready to break. I allowed it to linger, giving them the chance to feel it before I smiled. His hands tightened around my waist, pulling me closer in a way that still felt natural, even after all these years, like our bodies knew the rhythm by heart. His breath came in shallow, uneven bursts, matching mine. The heat between us lingered. His lips brushed my skin, his touch firm. Our movements were instinctive, the rhythm built, my body tensing as a wave of warmth spread within me. His name slipped from my lips in a breathless whisper before we collapsed, tangled together in the moment, hearts racing in sync. I exhaled, his arm draped over my stomach, warmth still lingering. My body hummed, but my mind was already drifting. Reaching for my phone, the screen lit up with a notification. Her name. I smirked, my thumb hovering over the screen before opening the app. A new post. My best friend posing in a sundress, her dark curls loose around her shoulders, the sun catching her smile perfectly. She always had this effortless confidence, the kind that made people stop and stare. She really knows how to drive men wild, I muttered, turning the phone toward my husband. You've always thought she was beautiful, haven't you? I asked. He chuckled, tilting his head as he glanced at the photo, his fingers still lazily tracing circles on my hip. Of course, he said smoothly. Who wouldn't? I grinned, scrolling slowly. I bet she'd love the way you just... She'd probably agree, he replied, his words falling so casually, so naturally, that they almost slipped past me. Almost. There was a brief silence. My breath caught. The warmth between us had shifted. She'd probably agree, felt too easily dismissed. I turned my head slowly, searching his face for any sign that would explain why he'd said that. He lay there, relaxed, his breathing steady, eyes half-lidded with lingering satisfaction. Wait, what? My voice was still light, still playful, but my mind sharpened, focusing. He smirked, stretching, eyes flicking back to me, calm, too calm. Nothing, he murmured, his voice low and unreadable. Just saying she's the type who notices things, as if it were obvious, as if it were no big deal. But something in the way he spoke made my stomach tighten. His hand absent-mindedly brushed my thigh, but I barely felt it. My eyes drifted back to her photo, staring at it. For the first time, I wondered, how much does he really know about her? About the morning light stretched across the sheets. My body felt cold. I should have woken up satisfied, still wrapped in the warmth of last night, but I wasn't. Something was off. That feeling had followed me since he spoke those words. Too smooth, too knowing. I went through the motions, coughing, scrolling through my phone aimlessly, tapping into the security app to check yesterday's deliveries. My thumb swiped too far, landing on a past recording of the living room. I almost backed out. Almost. Then I saw them. My breath vanished. The video played clearly. No room for misinterpretation. My best friend. My husband. I sat up, my heart pounding, fingers tightening around the phone. This wasn't just flirting. This wasn't a mistake. She was beneath him, shifting as his body pressed against hers. Her movements were instinctive. His hands held her in a way I recognized. Their movements synced, drawn together by something undeniable. His lips brushed against her skin, just like they had against mine. Her breath hitched, a reaction she couldn't hide. His name left her lips the same way it had left mine. Heat surged in my chest, but it wasn't just anger. It was something sharper, deeper, more dangerous. I should have felt sick. I should have thrown my phone, screamed, sobbed. But I didn't. Because my pulse wasn't racing with rage. It was something else, something worse. A tangle of jealousy, confusion, something I couldn't name. As I watched, I saw what he saw. The way she melted under him. The way she surrendered completely. Her breath lost in the moment. A slow shiver ran down my spine. If I were in his place, what would I have done? The answer came before I could stop it. My breath hitched, a shiver running through me, unfamiliar but undeniable. I should have felt broken, betrayed, but my pulse was pounding for a different reason. I wasn't just watching. I was questioning everything. I should have felt sick, I reminded myself over and over. The images were burned into my mind. His hands on her, their bodies moving together, the way she gave herself to him. I had seen it, watched every second, and still I wasn't angry. That unsettled me more than anything. The jealousy was there, twisting inside me, but it wasn't sharp. It didn't make me want to scream. It made me want something else, something I couldn't name, something I needed to understand. So I called her. "Dinner?" She responded with a soft laugh. "That's unexpected." I forced a smile into my voice. "I just feel like we haven't had a real night together in a while. Just the three of us." A pause. Then, "I'd love that." The word settled in my chest. A slow, warm weight pressing down. I didn't know if this was a mistake. I only knew I needed to experience whatever this was up close. The evening came faster than expected. The wine poured smoothly into glasses, deep red swirling against the candlelight. I went through the motions, laughing at the right times, smiling when expected, but beneath my skin, my pulse raced. And then I saw them. I had already witnessed them together before, but never like this, not in front of me. Her laughter came effortlessly, her body language open and unguarded. She touched him so casually, just a brief graze on his arm, a hand resting on his shoulder for a second too long. And him? He was too comfortable. His head tilted toward her each time she spoke, his fingers tracing absent circles on the rim of his glass as she talked. Then, a moment hit me harder than it should have. She said something teasing, something I didn't quite catch, and he leaned in close, too close. His lips brushed near her ear, whispering something back. She laughed, but it wasn't just any laugh. It was the same kind of laugh I used to give him. A slow, heated pulse rolled through me. I should have felt disgusted. I should have been furious, but all I could think about was the feeling of her skin against his, because I wanted to feel it too, not just him, but her as well. I didn't want to stop them. I wanted in. When she left, my mind was already working, the pieces scattered before me, waiting to fall into place. The jealousy, the curiosity, the tension, the pull. I didn't have any doubts now. I knew exactly what I needed to do. The morning arrived, but my mind was already ahead of the day. I knew exactly what was going to happen because I had already seen it in their eyes, in the way they moved, in the way they thought they were being careful, but not careful enough. So I made it easy for them. I left early, telling my husband I had errands to run, telling my best friend I'd see her later. No hesitation, no questions. I wanted them to think they had privacy, that there was no reason to hold back. And then I waited. The minutes dragged, time stretching as I let the tension coil tighter and tighter until I could almost feel it snap in the air, even from a distance. Then I turned the car around and drove home. The door was unlocked. He never locked it when he thought he was alone. I stepped inside, silent, measuring my heartbeat, steady. The house was quiet, but not empty. Soft sounds floated down the hallway, faint but unmistakable. I didn't rush. I let every step sink into the floor, slow and deliberate, letting the moment stretch. When I reached the bedroom, the door wasn't fully closed, just enough to maintain the illusion of privacy. I pushed it open. My husband, my best friend, entwined together just as I had expected. His hands on her body, her head tipped back, lips parted. Their movements were in sync, lost in something deep, something urgent, something they thought no one could see until they saw me. A breath caught, muscles tensed, his hands hesitating for just half a second. Her body stiffened against him as her head snapped toward me. But they didn't stop. They couldn't. I let the silence stretch between us, letting the moment settle, thick and charged. I wanted them to feel it, to understand that I wasn't there to break this apart. Finally, I smiled. You should have invited me. Their eyes stayed locked on me, the tension crackling in the space between us, heavy with anticipation. I didn't hesitate. My fingers found the hem of my dress, lifting it slowly over my head. The fabric slipped away, drifting to the floor. The air shifted, charged, humming with something unspoken, undeniable. I stepped forward, closing the distance between us. My fingertips brushed her jaw, just the lightest touch. Her breath caught, her lips parting as I tilted her face toward mine. Our movements were effortless, instinctive. And then I kissed her, soft at first, a slow tease of warmth, a question answered with a quiet shiver. She melted against me. The moment deepened, hesitation fading. Her hands rose to my waist, pressing closer, her touch tentative, yet full of longing. Behind me, I could feel him, his presence steady, warm, a quiet force, waiting, watching, knowing. His fingertips traced a slow path down my back, feather-light at first, then more deliberate. The heat of his breath brushed my shoulder, lingering before his lips followed. His touch was unhurried, intent clear in the way his hands settled on my waist, grounding me between them. A slow tremor rippled through me, caught between the softness of her kiss and the steady, knowing pressure of his hands. My fingers explored the contours of her skin, learning her, memorizing her, feeling the way she responded under my touch, the way her breath hitched, the way every movement carried silent meaning. I kissed her deeper, savoring, teasing, drawn in by the way she pressed into me. How effortlessly we fit. Then I let my lips wander, tracing the curve of her jaw, the column of her throat, lingering over the pulse fluttering beneath my mouth. I took my time, savoring every subtle reaction, every small sound, caught between breath and need. Her fingers tangled in my hair, holding me there. Her touch was both uncertain and unyielding. Behind me, he moved, always there, always present. His hands discovered, searched, found each place where sensation deepened into something more. His lips followed, pressing warmth into my skin. Each slow movement sent a spark down my spine. We were tangled together, lost in the space where thought dissolved, and only sensation and connection remained. Everything built slow and deliberate, winding tighter with each shared breath, each touch, each lingering moment, stretching impossibly thin. And then the tension broke, a rush, an undeniable pull, swallowing us whole. A wave crashed over us, leaving nothing but breathless stillness in its wake. The world faded, leaving only warmth, only them, only the sound of unsteady breaths filling the space between us. I exhaled, sinking into it, into them, into everything that had just unraveled between us. No second guessing, no hesitation. Just them, just us, just this. Most men dream of this. But if it happened to you, would you? A slow breath escaped my lips as steady hands helped me sit up. The movement was fluid, assured, and the space around me shifted before my back sank into something softer. I barely had time to register the change. A bed. The room was still, the air filled with something unspoken. Then a voice broke the silence, smooth, unreadable. A pause followed, heavy with the weight of the moment, and then everything shifted. My body felt warm, restless, with an energy I couldn't ignore. My fingers ran over the thin fabric of my robe, teasing slowly, relishing in the quiet indulgence. It wasn't enough. I craved more. The house was silent, no one to hear or interrupt. Then, the vibration of my phone against the nightstand jolted me. I sighed, reaching for it, ready to dismiss whatever late-night message had disturbed the moment, until I saw the name on the screen. My son-in-law. We're nearby. Mind if we stop by for a drink? Not just him, but them. I sat up, my pulse still erratic, rereading the message. I wasn't expecting visitors, certainly not them. It was late. I wasn't dressed for company, and I wasn't in the mood for small talk. I thought about ignoring it, but another message popped up. Come on, don't be boring. We won't stay long. I exhaled slowly. Boring, he always said that. He knew exactly how to push my buttons. Fine, all right, but just one drink. 15 minutes later, I stood in the kitchen, a wine glass in hand, when the knock came. As soon as I opened the door, I felt it. Something was different. My son-in-law gave me a smirk, his eyes roaming over me in a way I couldn't ignore. His friend stood just behind him, watching. Their presence felt heavier than it should have, and when they stepped inside, too confident, too comfortable, I knew this wasn't just a casual visit. I should have told them to leave, but I didn't. I shut the door behind them, and the night began. I set the wine bottle on the table, my fingers tightening around the glass. Their voices buzzed around me, but I wasn't truly listening. The air felt charged, heavier than before, not just from the heat, but from them. I poured my drink slowly, deliberately. My son-in-law leaned back into the couch, his movements easy, relaxed, as if he had all the time in the world. His friends, however, watched me closely. I didn't think you'd actually say yes, my son-in-law mused, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. I figured you'd tell us to go find somewhere else to drink. I scoffed, lifting my glass. I almost did. One of his friends leaned forward, sharp eyes narrowing as he tilted his head. So why didn't you? I met his gaze over the rim of my glass, but didn't answer. A quiet smirk played at his lips before he leaned back, unconcerned. Another, broader and quieter, tilted his drink toward me, his eyes steady. You always this quiet, I exhaled softly. Depends on the company. A grin. And what kind of company are we? I should have laughed, brushed it off, but I didn't. A hand brushed mine when I passed the bottle across the table. The touch should have been brief, but neither of us moved away. A second lingered too long before I finally pulled back. Relax, my son-in-law murmured, his voice lowering. We're just having a drink. His fingers tapped slowly against the rim of his glass, deliberate. The ice had already cracked, and there was no turning back. The wine had settled in my veins, but it wasn't the only thing warming me. It was them, the way they sat around me, their presence undeniable, the way their attention never wavered, each glance growing heavier. I ran a slow fingertip over the rim of my glass, not for them, but for myself, just to feel something beneath my touch. You're quiet, the man beside me murmured, his voice low enough that only I could hear. I tilted my head, a small smirk tugging at my lips. Observant, aren't you? He held my gaze. Didn't expect that from someone who invited us in this late. I let my eyes shift between them, feeling the weight of their attention. I didn't shrink from it. I let them look. Maybe you don't know what to expect from me. A hum of approval came from across the room. I think we're starting to. The bottle slid across the table, and a hand reached for it. As he poured, his fingers grazed the inside of my thigh. Not by accident. I could have ignored it, could have shifted away, broken the moment before it progressed. But I didn't. Instead, I parted my legs just enough for him to notice. His breath hitched, just a slight hitch, but I caught it. The corner of his lips curled slowly, knowingly. "She likes a little trouble," someone murmured. It wasn't a tease, it was a fact. His hand slid higher, fingers teasing just beneath the hem of my robe. My pulse jumped, but I didn't stop him. I leaned in, and then his lips brushed against mine. Just once, just enough to feel the warmth of him, the taste of wine lingering between us. I tilted my chin up, parting my lips slightly, a silent invitation. And then the restraint shattered. The kiss deepened, urgent and unrestrained. His hand tightened on my thigh as my breath hitched. My fingers curled into the fabric of his shirt, pulling him closer, letting him take what he wanted. A presence shifted beside me, and I felt the weight of another gaze. The air thickened around us, and I knew we weren't alone, and I liked it. The warmth of his kiss still lingered on my lips, a quiet hum beneath my skin. But before I could catch my breath, another presence moved in closer, more deliberate. A slow inhale escaped me as lips brushed the curve of my neck, lingering, testing. Each breath sent a faint shiver down my spine, a whisper of warmth and anticipation curling through me. Strong, sure hands trailed along my sides, their touch weightless, yet intentional. A featherlight press of fingertips traced the dip of my waist. Silent exploration that made my stomach tighten in response. A soft exhale parted my lips, my body aware of every shift, every movement around me. Another touch, this time lower, a faint graze against my thigh. The gesture was slow, unhurried, testing the space between us, lingering just enough to leave a question hanging in the air. The answer was already clear. A low murmur stirred the air near my ear, the voice laced with quiet amusement. "Told you she'd love this." I didn't need to speak. My body had already responded. My breath quickened as I leaned into them, drawn by the weight of their presence, the way their hands wandered. Each touch was slow yet deliberate. Lips trailed over my shoulder, following the curve of my collarbone. A teasing scrape of teeth sent a ripple through me, an effect that deepened as fingertips followed, leaving behind a map of warmth and quiet tension. Between the blur of movement and the press of bodies, my fingers sought him, one of them. I couldn't quite say who it was anymore, but I felt the sharp intake of breath beneath my hand, the way his muscles tightened under my touch. And just like that, something changed. No hesitation, no second thoughts. I was surrounded, enveloped in a space where instinct took over, where every glance exchanged between them carried a silent understanding. Their hands roamed, learning, absorbing, while the moment slowly unraveled, seamless and all-encompassing, leaving only sensation in its wake. One moment I was leaning against the couch, and the next, steady hands lifted me up. My body followed without thought, the movement smooth and unhurried. A softer surface met my back before I could even register the shift. A bed. A quiet breath escaped me as my pulse thudded beneath my skin. But before I could take another breath, they were with me again, and this time, nothing held the moment back. The bed barely had time to settle beneath me before warmth wrapped around me, drawing me deeper into the moment. Lips met mine, slow at first, then growing more assured, a silent conversation spoken through each movement. Fingers gently traced along my robe, easing the fabric aside with calculated intent. A slow shiver ran through me as the material slipped away, gliding over my skin before resting somewhere unseen. The change in sensation made my breath catch, anticipation threading through me. I exhaled softly, letting my head sink back as a quiet murmur brushed my ear. Low, smooth, and threaded with something undeniable, even better than I imagined. A warmth stirred deep inside me as hands explored, unhurried yet purposeful, mapping the contours of my body with careful reverence. My fingers curled into the sheets as their touch deepened. The movements flowed seamlessly, as if they had always known me this way. The steady press of hands against my waist grounded me, anchoring me in the growing intensity between us. A slow breath, a controlled release, and then heat spread through me, deliberate and all-encompassing, settling deep within, sharpening my senses, heightening my awareness. The rhythm of their touch shifted, measured yet confident. Each movement flowed effortlessly into the next, pulling me into a connection that felt both new and familiar, all at once. Lips found mine again, capturing the quiet sounds slipping between us. A firm hand tilted my chin, a thumb grazing my bottom lip, an unspoken invitation, waiting for a response. Without hesitation, I deepened the kiss, allowing the warmth to build between us. Fingers combed through my hair, drawing me closer, breaths mingling in the space between us. The energy between us fused into something seamless. Everything felt fluid, instinctive, and effortless. A deep breath escaped him as he lingered for a moment, letting the weight of the sensation settle before pulling back. The warmth still pulsed beneath my skin, my body attuned to every shift. A moment passed, just enough for anticipation to bloom again. Before I could process it, another presence took over, their touch different but equally certain, setting a new rhythm. This time, the pace was exploratory, savoring, appreciating, making each second stretch with intent. A quiet sound escaped me, fingers curling against the fabric beneath me as I yielded to the shift, letting them guide me through every new sensation. The bed shifted beneath us, the air thick with warmth. The energy moving between us was palpable. A presence leaned in, breath teasing the sensitive skin near my ear, and the words came, smooth and certain, carrying a quiet promise. We're just getting started. Fingers drifted along my arm, grounding me in the moment. Another kiss, deeper this time, more knowing, set a new tempo, pulling me further into the indulgence of it all. I allowed myself to be guided, surrendering effortlessly to the pull, to the way their movements aligned, attuned, every transition smooth, fluid. There was no rush, no hesitation. Every part of me was surrounded, immersed, held in their warmth. Hands slid lower, deliberate yet patient, mapping the curves of my body with quiet appreciation, ensuring every touch, every shift resonated fully. A mouth traced a slow path along my shoulder, lingering just below the hollow, sending a quiet shiver through me. I was lost in it, the shifting momentum, the way everything aligned in perfect harmony, as if it had always been meant to be this way. There was no stopping now. The movement grew more consuming, the energy between us building, drawing me higher, carrying me deeper. A slow breath caught in my throat as hands traced along my form, the connection between us deepening. Each motion flowed seamlessly into the next. One of them moved lower, fingers pressing gently, coaxing me to stay exactly where I was, ensuring I felt every nuance of the moment. A satisfied murmur filled the air as the intensity climbed. Every shift in pace carried an unspoken understanding. The warmth spread deeper, threading through every inch of me, taking hold completely. A deep, reverberating sound left him as my body responded, drawn into each lingering touch, each wave of sensation. The moment expanded, all-encompassing, pulling me fully into its grasp. I let go entirely, allowing the tension to dissolve, unraveling in waves that coursed through me. Every part of me was attuned to the rhythm between us. The warmth lingered, refusing to fade, moving through me in steady pulses, unrelenting in its hold, carrying me further until everything slowed, everything settled, everything stilled. I collapsed onto the sheets, my chest rising and falling, breath still uneven, my body humming with the weight of everything we had shared. Soft touches still drifted along my skin, lazy, indulgent, as if they weren't ready to let go. Fingers trailed idly over my hip, tracing delicate patterns as if imprinting the moment into memory. A mouth pressed a lingering kiss against my shoulder, and a presence settled beside me, radiating warmth. A low voice, smooth and teasing, murmured near my ear, "Think that's enough for tonight?" Most people wouldn't even believe this could happen,